House Speaker Mike Johnson has released the Republicans' big, beautiful bill and its big, beautiful BS, including much of what we have expected and have been reporting on a couple times a week for the past few months now. So they've been saying, we're not gonna cut Medicaid, we're not gonna touch Medicaid. Turns out, no, they're cutting Medicaid and they're cutting it in the way that we expected they would. It's imposing new limits on Medicaid benefits to unemployed adults, requires more frequent eligibility checks as part of a reform package that would save $715 billion on federal health spending over a decade, mainly by cutting billions and millions of people from the program while subjecting those who are miraculously still able to get Medicaid to a lot more bureaucracy and paperwork with the express goal of making it so onerous to comply with these requirements that many people might give up or might make a mistake and get forced off of the program. When the Republicans talk about how bad bureaucracy is, it's always struck me as a little bit ironic because they sure love to deploy weaponized bureaucracy when it gets the poors and the peasants off of the government programs they've paid into their entire life. And so as we previewed yesterday on the show, it's expected that the better part of 9 million Americans will soon end up with no Medicaid, what they now have access to. And we're gonna jump into some more of the ways that they're doing those cuts. New community engagement requirements, commonly known as work requirements, so that unemployed adults without children or disabilities would have to prove to state governments they're either working, volunteering, or taking classes at least 80 hours a month. Enrollees would have to verify their eligibility twice a year instead of once, and states would have less flexibility to fund their programs by taxing healthcare providers such as nursing homes that are major recipients of Medicaid spending. So why do you do this? Well, again, more requirements, more chance for people to fall through the cracks or get bumped off of the program. Also, it advances the constant refrain from the right that poor people are the laziest people in the universe. Every dollar spent on them is wasted. They are moochers. By the way, let's give more billions to Elon Musk. So the rhetoric is all in line for the right. And the only real issue from the point of view of some Republicans is that these cuts don't go far enough. Chip Roy says, I sure hope House and Senate Republicans, our leadership, are coming up with a backup plan because I'm not here to rack up an additional 20 trillion in debt over 10 years or to subsidize healthy, able-bodied adults, corrupt blue states, and monopoly hospital CEOs. So we're not doing enough to demonize the poor. He's still calling them moochers, basically. And he's still calling blue states corrupt, even though blue states give out more than they take in federal dollars. Red states take in more than they give. So really all of the rhetorical cards are falling in line here. And Jordan, I'm only gonna throw out one more stat before we go to you. We do all of this. Cut 9 million people off their health insurance. Many of them will get sick as a result of this. Many of them will end up dying needlessly due to this. And in return, over 10 years, we'll save $715 billion, which will pay for less than half of the additional military spending they've already announced for just this year alone. So seems worth it to me, Jordan. What do you think?
Yeah, John, we'll just bomb the sickness away. Well, they called it, and in terms of just people's material and financial conditions, they said it was a war on poverty. How do you think we're going to win that war, John? If we do not continue to fund and enrich the military-industrial complex, we will lose the war on poverty. So the messaging has been clear since the start. We're going to win this war one way or another, and I think this is the clearest path ahead. So are you in or in the way?
Yeah, I guess rhetorically, probably enough in the way that I'll get detained by border agents, I suppose. But anyway, all I can do, the little platform I have, is to let people know about this, to let maybe Democrats, liberals know to do what you can, but also for the few right wingers that might watch this program or whatever. First of all, thank you, Congresswoman Green, for watching. To know that you have voted for people who want to destroy you economically. They consider you to be lazy mooches. And that's fine. I'm not trying to shame you or whatever, but wake up and maybe join us, and we can try to save some of these government programs that you are actually literally entitled to. You have paid into it. You deserve these benefits. It's the Republicans who think that you don't. But anyway, there are some Republicans, not Chip Roy, but there's some Republicans who are speaking out against this. So you have to move over to the Senate basically to find that. The Republicans at the House level who would oppose this, they've been weeded out. But Josh Hawley, Republican senator, occasionally disagrees with his party. He wrote an op-ed in the New York Times that said this: Mr. Trump has promised working class tax cuts and protection for working class social insurance, such as Medicaid, but now a noisy contingent of corporatist Republicans, call it the party's Wall Street wing, is urging Congress to ignore all that and get back to the old time religion, corporate giveaways, preferences for capital, and deep cuts to social insurance. By the way, really fast, that's not a wing of House Republicans, that's just House Republicans. That's the entire thing. It's all wing, baby. But anyway, this wing wants Republicans to build our big, beautiful bill around slashing health insurance for the working poor. But that argument is both morally wrong and politically suicidal. And I actually agree with him on both sides of that. But that is what they're doing. They're going to slash the corporate tax rate. They're going to slash taxes on the wealthy once again. They're going to hand them literally trillions of dollars. They're going to saddle future generations of us, we have to pay for that as they jack up the national debt, as they did the first term of Donald Trump. And in return, what do they get? Well, increased military spending, and you lose access to your health care, among many other programs, including SNAP benefits and stuff like that. Now, before we discuss though, Jordan, I know that you're dying to find out what AOC has to say about this, so I'm gonna read just a quick quote and then we'll discuss. Representative Ocasio-Cortez says they're robbing people in order to hand it over to the rich. Medicaid is one of the largest insurers in the United States of America. They're not just out here to cut healthcare for healthcare's sake, they have an assignment. Their assignment is to cut the taxes of their donors and to have giveaways to big oil, which finance their election, big tech, which finance their election, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, etc. In order to do that, you have to gut what is left of the healthcare and social safety net in the US. They're doing it because they have to hand over a bag. And that's what you do when you've been bought by the richest people in the country, which Donald Trump and the Republicans have been. What do you think?
Yeah, they are deliberately trying to undermine and break every program, every aspect of our government, so their corporate donors, their billionaire buddies can come in and privatize as much as they can during the next 4 years. That's pretty clear. It seemed to me like it was abundantly clear. So Martin O'Malley, who used to be like the commissioner of the Social Security Administration, said like this, it's like a couple months ago on MSNBC, this is exactly what they're doing. They want to break Social Security so Wall Street firms, financiers can come in and privatize it. This has been their game for decades. Paul Ryan was all for it. That's the main reason why they call Social Security a Ponzi scheme. On Medicaid, they want to push people into Medicaid Advantage or Medicare Advantage plans. They want to undermine Medicaid completely. Very few people, if you're lucky, will get it. Maybe if you're on disability. We saw them try to push through lifetime caps in 2017, which if you are born with a serious condition as a child, you'll just run out of healthcare by the time you're 18. That is a death sentence. So the party of pro-life is arbitrarily assigning limits to people's essential life-saving care. That's what they're doing. So it is grotesque and it is cruel. I'm glad she's talking about it. We need more people to talk about it, but they don't care about you. They never did. And for a party and a campaign that ran on economic insecurity, the cost of living, how hard things are, it's a grim about face within 100 days. Oh, actually, just kidding. Nope, we're the party of the wealthy. It's sad that people fell for that.
Yeah. It's sarcastically sad. It's also just literally sad that people fell for that because, aside from everyone else, millions of MAGA voters' lives are going to become materially harder and shorter thanks to Donald Trump.